The Knicks are doing the impossible. The Knicks poured in 70 points in the second half on only 47 possessions. That's 1.49 points per possession. It's an outrageous number. It felt like every single time they touched the ball, it ended in either a made shot or a Celtics meltdown. They scored 37 points in the third quarter alone. 37. The paint wasn't just where they made a living, it was where they built the whole house. They doubled Boston in points in the paint, 64-32, and they shot 73% inside. No team has hit that number in the paint during the entire 2025 playoff. Jalen Brunson was basically running a masterclass in basketball efficiency. He scored 39 points, and 26 of those came in the second half. 27 of his total points came either in the paint or at the free throw line. He just bullied Boston's interior. Even better, when he was working through ball screens that involved Porzingis or Horford, he generated 1.23 points per possession, racking up 37 points on 30 possessions in those sets. That's surgical. Karl Anthony Towns was just as sharp. He put up 23 points and only missed 4 shots, going 11 for 15. He wasn't just camping out on the perimeter either. He took advantage of Boston, switching smaller defenders onto him, like Tatum or Holiday, and made them pay every single time. And while the spotlight tends to fall on Brunson and Towns, Bridges and OG weren't just showing up, they combined for 43 points and hit 16 of their 28 shots. That's 57%. Bridges added 12 more points in the fourth quarter, just in case anyone forgot he was there. The Knicks were harassing the Celtics into bad decisions on the other end. Boston started the game hot from deep, hitting 12 of their first 24 threes, but they only hit 6 of their last 24. New York's perimeter defense clamped down hard, especially Bridges and OG. They contested 75% of the second half three-point attempts, taken by Tatum and Brown. That completely wrecked Boston's rhythm. Only 68% of the Celtics made threes were assisted in this game, which was their lowest rate of the postseason. That means the drive and kick game was getting shut down. No flow, no easy buckets. Towns wasn't just putting up points. He was locking up Boston stars when they tried to go at him. Tatum and Brown shot 8 for 22 when isolated against Towns. That's not a small sample. That's legit. For a guy not known for his defense, that's huge. And it completely flipped what Boston thought they could exploit. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during this playoffs. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, then there's the injury. Jason Tatum had already dropped 42 points on 16 for 28 shooting, including 7 of 15 from beyond the arc. But with 3 minutes and 21 seconds left, he went down with a non-contact leg injury. After that, Boston got outscored 15-6. Not ideal. But even before that, the Knicks were building momentum. That injury just sealed the deal. Brunson, across 34 playoff games with New York, is averaging 30.2 points per game. That's the second highest average of any player over the last 3 postseasons, only behind Devin Booker. His line in Game 4, 39 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds. That's his 5th playoff game with at least 35 points and 10 assists. Nobody's carrying a heavier load right now. As a team, the Knicks posted an offensive rating of 121.2 in Game 4. That's a massive jump from the 101.4 they averaged across the first 3 games. The pace was better, the execution was cleaner, and the shot selection was smart. Plus, they took care of the ball and made Boston pay when the Celtics didn't. They forced 15 turnovers and turned those into 22 fast break points. Bridges and OG combined for 7 steals. That's real production on both ends. Josh Hart might not be lighting it up from deep. He's 1 for 9 in the series, but he pulled down 11 offensive boards in Game 4. 11. That's not just energy. That's demoralizing for the other team. He gave the Knicks over 10 extra possessions just from hustle plays alone. That's how you win playoff games. There were some really sharp coaching moves too. Tom Thibodeau used his timeout strategically, especially in the third quarter. The one he called at the 9-minute mark of the third was followed by a 22-point swing in New York's favor. That's not luck. That's timing, awareness, and the team responding. And now the Knicks are up 3-1. Historically, teams in that position go on to win the series 95.6% of the time. That's 293 times out of 306. The last time a team came back from that kind of deficit outside the bubble was the Cavaliers in 2016. That's how rare it is. Boston's backs are against the wall, and New York's got all the momentum. What makes this all even wilder is that the Knicks came into the playoffs with an awful record against the league's top teams. They were winless against Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City in the regular season. Winless. Now they're 3-1 against the defending champs. They've trailed by at least 14 points in every game of this series and still managed to win 3 of them. That's never happened before in a single series. Never. And they're undefeated on the road in the playoffs So far, 5-0, including 2 wins in Boston. The shot making, the defense, the rebounding, the strategy. It all came together in Game 4. The Celtics looked stunned in that second half, and the Knicks just kept piling on. They had the better stats, the sharper execution, and the players that delivered when it mattered most. One more win, and they'll be heading to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. But really, this team comes down to a few guys, and it starts with Brunson. Jalen Brunson's playoff run has been nothing short of relentless. Across 10 games this postseason, he's averaging over 31 points, more than 8 assists, and right at 4 rebounds. His shooting splits are grounded in real volume too. 43.5% from the field, 36.7% from deep, and over 81% from the line. He's not just chucking, he's producing. And he's doing it while logging more minutes than any other player left in the playoffs. Over 40 minutes per game. That's not a stat, that's a workload. He's carrying the Knicks, and he's doing it while staying efficient and consistent in big moments. The clutch numbers are wild. He led the league in clutch time field goals during the regular season with 52 makes, and he won Clutch Player of the Year for it. That hasn't slowed down in the playoffs. He's scoring 11 points in the fourth quarter alone per game. That's an entire role player's nightly production, and he's doing it just in crunch time. He's hitting 50% of his shots in clutch minutes this postseason. Those are the last 5 minutes with the score within 5 points. That's pressure basketball, and he's treating it like a shoot-around. Now, just for context, his true shooting percentage in these playoffs is sitting at 56.1. That's up from 54.9 last postseason, and it's coming while his usage rate is one of the highest in the entire league, 34.8%. That means over a third of the Knicks' possessions when he's on the floor end, with him shooting, getting fouled, or turning it over. And he's still keeping the offense efficient. That's a rare combination of volume and effectiveness. When you zoom in on this series against Boston, it gets even more ridiculous. Through 4 games, he's averaging 28 points, 7.8 assists, and 4 rebounds, while shooting 43.2% from the field and over 41% from 3. He's also making over 81% of his free throws. These aren't empty numbers. He's playing over 40 minutes a night and holding up against one of the deepest defensive backcourts in the league. Derek White and Drew Holiday are all defense caliber players, and they haven't been able to contain him for more than a few possessions at a time. Game by game, it's been a masterclass in adaptability. In Game 1, he scored 29 points and hit 5 of 9 threes. That's 55% from distance. He added 5 assists and had a positive plus-minus in an overtime win. Game 2 was quieter on the scoreboard with 17 points, but he made his impact with 7 assists, especially late. Holiday had him bottled up early, but Brunson adjusted and became a facilitator when the defense collapsed. Then in Game 3, which the Knicks lost, he still dropped 27 points with 7 more assists and shot nearly 38% from deep. And then came Game 4. That was the exclamation point. 39 points, 12 assists, only 1 turnover in 40 minutes. 26 of those points came in the second half. He went 4 for 8 from beyond the arc. That's how you respond to pressure. His efficiency on ball screens has been a nightmare for Boston. He's generating 1.2 3-points per possession when targeting Kristaps Porzingis or Al Horford in those actions. That's 37 points on 30 chances. Those are elite numbers. If you let him get downhill out of that action, he's either scoring or setting someone else up for something easy. It's not just that he's scoring, it's that every time he runs that action, something positive is happening for New York. And when you isolate him against Boston's guards, he's still shooting nearly 50%. Specifically, he's hitting 48% of his shots when isolated against either Derek White or Drew Holiday. These aren't soft matchups. These are all NBA defenders, and he's treating them like practice cones. And the thing is, they've been great this whole season. And you can make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Personally, I've been using Factor for the past few weeks, and honestly, it's changed everything. No more stressing over what to cook or cleaning up after. Just heat, eat, and go. Especially while watching the playoffs, it makes everything so easy. The shredded chicken taco bowl, fire. The garlic herb salmon, better than anything I've ever made at home. Instead of being stuck in the kitchen, I've been spending more time outside and hitting the gym. And Factor fits right into that routine. And like I said, with the playoffs on too, you don't gotta stress about missing the game. With 45 weekly options, I can switch it up constantly. Whether I'm aiming for high protein or just keeping it light, they've got it all. Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, even veggie meals. Plus, they've got snacks and desserts that don't ruin your goals. I've been loving their smoothies and those peanut butter energy bites. I'm hooked. So why not savor more this summer? Let Factor take care of the meals so you can enjoy more of everything else. Get started at factormeals.com factormeals.com/modernjam50off and use code ModernJam50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code ModernJam50off at factormeals.com/modernjam50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Thank you, Fact. And in Game 4, 27 of his 39 points came either in the paint or at the free throw line. That's pure rim pressure. That's not jump shot luck. That's physically breaking down a defense over and over again. But he's not just doing damage on one end. On defense, he's held Boston's guards to 38% shooting when he's the primary defender. He's not known for his defense, but he's been working. He's pressuring ball handlers and creating chaos. He's forcing close to 3 turnovers a game just from applying pressure to the Celtics' backcourt. That's not some statistical quirk. That's him getting in the grill of guys like Holiday, White, and even Tatum when they get switched onto him. And the durability has to be part of the conversation. This isn't a guy who's pacing himself. He played through ankle soreness in the first round. He briefly left multiple games, but kept coming back and still logged over 40 minutes, 3 times in that round. Against Boston, he hasn't missed a beat, over 40 minutes a night and still finishing games, stronger than he starts them. Historically, this is already the best playoff run by a Knicks guard in decades. He's averaging over 30 points per game across 34 career playoff games with New York. That's the highest in franchise history for anyone who's played at least 20 playoff games. Higher than Bernard King, higher than Clyde. The only player in the last 3 postseasons with a better average is Devin Booker. That's the level he's operating at right now. Against Boston specifically, his regular season averages sit at 20.3 points and 4.7 assists on 50% shooting. In the playoffs this year, he's jumped that to 28 points and nearly 8 assists. That's the kind of leap you're supposed to see from a superstar. That's not normal progression. That's taking control of a series. The fourth quarters have belonged to him. In Game 4 alone, he either scored or assisted on 19 of the Knicks' 33 points in the final quarter. That's over half the offense. In Game 1, he hit the go-ahead 3 in overtime. These are defining moments, and he's not blinking. There's no hesitation. When the game gets tight, the ball finds Brunson, and good things happen. It's also worth pointing out just how steady his turnover numbers have been. Across this series, his assist-to-turnover ratio is 1.8. That's not a crazy number on its own, but when you factor in how much he's handling the ball and how often he's being double-teamed or blitzed, it becomes a stat worth highlighting. In Game 4, he had 12 assists and only 1 turnover. That's surgical. Right now, everything the Knicks are doing on offense flows through him. Every screen, every action, every set is designed with him at the center. He's not just a scorer, he's the whole system. He's reading defenses, punishing mismatches, and managing pace better than almost anyone left in the postseason. And he's doing all of that while Boston throws multiple bodies at him every possession. This is the best defense in the league trying to stop him. And it's not working. His mastery of tempo, his footwork in the lane, his ability to shield off defenders and finish through contact, it's all on full display. Game after game, he's dictating matchups and finding cracks in a defense that doesn't usually give up much. The Knicks are up 3-1, and Brunson is the reason why. Not just the main reason. The reason. His production, his consistency, and his ability to show up when it counts most have completely flipped the script. Nobody expected New York to be bullying the defending champs, but here we are. He's making the right reads, hitting the right shots, and turning one of the toughest matchups in the league into a highlight reel. There's still more basketball to play, but if this series ends the way it's trending, Brunson's going to walk out of it, not just as the series MVP, but as one of the defining stars of the postseason. And it's not hype, it's math, it's game logs, it's minutes, it's pressure, and it's Jalen Brunson handling all of it, like he's done it 100 times before. But then we gotta talk about Bridges. Bridges has been grinding through this series with the kind of stat line that doesn't scream for attention, but demands respect once you actually look at the numbers. 10 games into the playoffs, and he's averaging just over 15 points per game, hitting 45% of his shots overall. Sure, the 3-point percentage is down at 29%, but his true shooting percentage is still sitting at nearly 59. That's higher than his regular season efficiency, despite the dip from deep. That tells you one thing: he's picking the right spots, finishing at the rim, and not wasting possessions. In the Celtics series alone, the volume has stayed steady. He's putting up over 14 points a game, but what stands out is how those points show up. He scored 23 in Game 4 and 14 in the fourth quarter of Game 2. That's where his value shows up. Late in games, when everything is tight, he doesn't vanish. He's not afraid of the moment, even if the shot isn't falling from deep. That Game 2 run, he hit 6 of 8 shots in the fourth quarter. Then in Game 4, he put up 10 points in the final 8 minutes alone, finishing the game with 23 total on over 41% shooting and a plus 14 in plus minus. That's winning basketball. Now let's talk about the real story, his defense. This guy has been tormenting the Celtics' wings. Across the 4 games, Bridges is averaging 3 steals a game, and he's not padding those numbers off lazy passes. These are defensive reads, calculated gambles, and timely rotations. Game 4, 4 steals, 7 rebounds, 23 points, the full package. Game 1, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 7 assists. That's stuffing the box score in an overtime win, not floating around and hoping someone else makes the play. And it's not just the counting stat. When you look at how Boston's top guys are performing when Bridges is the primary defender, it's clear what's happening. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are shooting 38% when guarded by Bridges. That's not survivable for a team that relies on those two to generate so much of their offense. And it's not because they're just missing shots. He's contesting everything. He's attached on drives, closing out hard, and making sure every possession is uncomfortable. His defensive rating across the playoffs is 105.8. That's the best among all Knicks wings. The team tightens up when he's on the floor, and it's even more obvious in these high-leverage minutes against Boston. His defensive impact hasn't been flashy, but it's been surgical. Boston's offense doesn't look the same when he's on the floor. They're having to reset, rethink, and reroute. He's taking away first options and forcing second and third reads. And he's doing all this while playing 44 minutes a game in the series. Game 1 went into overtime, and he logged 51 minutes. That's not a typo. That's more minutes than most people can mentally tolerate. And he's doing it while defending the best scorers on the floor and contributing offensively. Now let's hit the boards. His playoff rebounding has taken a step up compared to the regular season. He's pulling down over 5 boards a game, and that number bumps up to nearly 6 per game against Boston. In Game 4, he grabbed 7 rebounds, most of them critical in transition or at moments when Boston was crashing hard for second chance points. And this isn't a guy who's parking in the paint. He's grabbing boards while chasing shooters around the perimeter. Then there's the playmaking. He's quietly averaging 2.8 assists across the playoffs, but against Boston, he's up to over 4 a game. That includes 7 assists in Game 1, which came in an overtime win where every possession mattered. That's a career-high assist average for a playoff series, and it's not because he's bringing the ball up. He's just making quick decisions, moving it when the double comes, and finding the open man before the defense recovers. Clutch performance? Let's talk about that fourth quarter efficiency. He's shooting over 62% true shooting in clutch time this series. That's the last 5 minutes of close game. Game 2's fourth quarter, 14 points, 6 of 8 shooting, 2 steals, plus 12. That's a game-changing quarter on both ends. Game 4, 10 points in the final 8 minutes, again on high efficiency. These are not empty stats. He's putting up real production at the moments when Boston has tried to claw back into games. His usage rate tells an interesting story too. It's just under 20% for the playoffs, but in this Celtics series, it's jumped up to over 22%. That's not some passive uptick. That's the coaching staff trusting him more with the ball, giving him more touches, and asking him to create and finish more than he did in the first round. And he's responded. He's taken on the bigger offensive load without turning the ball over or taking bad shots. The impact metrics don't lie either. When Bridges is on the court against the Celtics, the Knicks have a plus 11.2 net rating. That's the best mark among any of the starters. When he's on the floor, New York is winning the minutes. That's a simple, clean stat with a loud message. And his real plus minus for the playoffs sits at plus 1.69, second on the team behind Jalen Brunson. That tracks with the eye test. He's doing everything. Offensively, even though his three-point shot hasn't been falling, he's still elite at the rim. He's shooting nearly 69% in the paint in this series. When he gets downhill or cuts off the ball, he's finishing strong. Boston hasn't had an answer for his slashing game, and he's picked apart mismatches when they switch slower defenders onto him. There's also the discipline. Across this series, he hasn't attempted a single free throw. That might sound like a knock, but it actually speaks to how efficient he's been finishing plays without baiting contact. He's not wasting possessions trying to draw fouls. He's going for clean finishes, quick shots, and moving on. That kind of decisiveness helps the Knicks keep their pace and rhythm, especially when other guys are already drawing whistles. When you put it all together, Bridges has been a two-way force. Not the loudest player on the floor, but one of the most effective. He's giving the Knicks real versatility. He can defend 1 through 4, guard isolation plays, chase shooters, switch on screens, and still have enough juice to contribute 20-plus points when needed. His activity level has been relentless. No one on the Celtics has looked comfortable when matched up with him. His presence isn't just felt in the box score. He's the kind of player that makes his teammates better by making fewer mistakes, covering more ground, and picking up the slack in real time. Need a late stop? He's in position. Need a last-minute bucket when Brunson's doubled? He's curling to the top of the key. Need someone to grab a key rebound or rotate on defense? He's already there. And now with the Knicks leading the series 3-1, his performance feels even more significant. These games have been tight, physical, and loaded with adjustment. Through all of that, Bridges has been a constant, a steady, flexible, two-way contributor who's outworking his assignment and outproducing his counterpart. This is what makes his series special. He hasn't needed to be the top scorer. He hasn't needed to dominate the ball. He's done everything else. Defense, rebounds, assists, hustle plays, late game execution, and scoring when it counts. He's been the glue, the pressure release valve, and the guy you forget about until he scores 12 in the fourth quarter. Bridges isn't just playing good basketball, he's playing smart basketball. And in this series, against this opponent, that's been exactly what the Knicks needed. But then I want to talk about Cat. Karl Anthony Towns has been stepping through this playoff series like he's finally reading from the right playbook, one that says dominate without forcing it. Through 10 playoff games this season, he's averaging 17.8 points, shooting over 55% from the field, and a solid 40% from three. That alone is a pretty clean stat line for a big man in today's league. But the real story is what he's done in this series against Boston. He's taken a defensive mismatch and turned it into a personalized playground. Against the Celtics, he's averaging 19 points per game on nearly 60% shooting. He's not camping out on the three-point line. He's not overcomplicating things. He's making Boston pay every single time they put a wing or smaller forward on him. Tatum, Holiday, even Brown, they've all tried their luck in the post, and it's ended the same way. Towns with 2 more points and the Celtics scrambled. Game 4 was a perfect snapshot of how dangerous Towns can be when he's locked in. He dropped 23 points on 11 of 15 shooting. That's 73%. That is not sustainable for most players, but for him, it looked effortless. There was no wasted motion, no forced threes, just smart basketball. He stayed within the flow of the offense and absolutely torched whoever was in front of him. And that performance came while he was doing double duty. On the other end, he held his own defensively against Tatum and Brown, particularly when switched onto them in isolation. Per matchup data, those two combined to shoot just 8 for 22 when guarded directly by Towns in isolation sets. That's the same Tatum who had 42 points in Game 4. It's not that Tatum wasn't hitting shots, he just wasn't hitting them when Towns was in front of him. For a guy who has had the label of defensive liability pinned to his name for years, this series has been a shift in the narrative. He's moving his feet better. He's making quicker decisions on switches. He's holding his ground. He's not swatting every shot, but he's contesting without fouling. And Boston hasn't had an answer for that because they were counting on exploiting him in pick and rolls and isolations. Instead, he's flipping the script. The Knicks have been using him in high post actions and inverted pick and rolls to exploit mismatches. It's subtle, but effective. When Porzingis or Horford have been pulled away from the rim, it opens up the floor for cutters. But when Towns gets the ball with a smaller guy on him, it's been automatic. His touch around the rim has been elite. He's shooting over 70% in the paint during the series. Even when he's not scoring, he's dragging defenders into uncomfortable territory. His presence on the perimeter keeps shot blockers honest. And when Boston switches to try to avoid mismatches, it just creates chaos. That's a big part of why the Knicks have been able to thrive in the paint all series long. In Game 4, the Knicks outscored Boston 64-32 in the paint. Towns didn't score all of those points himself, but his ability to spread the floor and exploit switches helped create driving lanes for guys like Brunson and Bridges. The Celtics have tried throwing different looks at him, hard doubles, zone rotations, aggressive closeouts, but he's reading them better than ever. His decision-making is more patient. When the double comes, he's kicking it out. When he gets a one-on-one, he's attacking with purpose. And when the shot's not there, he's resetting instead of forcing bad looks. That kind of maturity in shot selection is what's made his offensive impact so steady this series. And then there's the rebound. He's not averaging massive numbers, just under 7 boards a game in the series. But the rebounds he is grabbing are timely. They're momentum plays. They're possessions that keep Boston from getting second chances. In Game 4, he pulled in 6 rebounds, but each one felt like it stopped a Boston run or extended a critical Knicks possession. That matters. It's not just volume, it's impact. His screening has also flown under the radar. He's not just setting picks and popping for threes. He's making real contact, helping create space for Brunson and other guards to get downhill. And because Boston has to respect his shooting, they can't drop coverage. That puts the Celtics in a bind. They either hedge hard and leave the roll open or switch and risk the mismatch. Neither has worked particularly well. Towns' plus-minus numbers back up the eye test. In the 4 games against Boston, he's a net positive in 3 of them. That's not just about individual scoring, it's about how the team performs when he's on the court. The offense flows smoother, the spacing improves, and the defense doesn't fall apart. That's a big shift from what we've seen in previous years when his playoff minutes were high-variance adventures. He's also not getting played off the floor. That's been a real thing in past postseasons, especially against faster teams or those with stretch bigs. But in this matchup, he's holding his own. He's not a rim protector, but he's contesting shots, altering drives, and rotating in time. And when the Knicks go smaller or switch more aggressively, he hasn't been the liability Boston hoped he would be. Another piece of the puzzle here is how Thibodeau is using him. The timeouts, the rotation tweaks, the matchups, it's all feeding into Towns' strengths. They're not asking him to do too much, but they're also not hiding him. They're putting him in spots where he can succeed, and he's responding by doing exactly what's needed. That Game 4 burst didn't come from him hijacking the offense. It came from him punishing the defense for bad switches and being in the right place at the right time. What's more, his usage hasn't ballooned. He's staying within his role. Across the Celtics series, he's sitting at around 22% usage. That's manageable. That means the offense isn't over-reliant on him, but when it does come his way, he's producing at a high rate. His efficiency is up. His turnovers are down. He's not over-dribbling or forcing post-ups that lead to double teams and rush shots. And his passing has been sharp. He's not putting up assist numbers like Brunson, but he's making smart reads. When the Celtics collapse, he's finding cutters. When they try to rotate late, he's swinging the ball quickly. That doesn't always show up in the box score, but it shows up in how well the Knicks have been moving the ball in this series. Their offense hasn't looked this fluid in years, and part of that is Towns not clogging things up. Let's not forget the mental side. He's playing with poise. No dumb fouls. No frustration turnovers. He's not barking at refs every possession. He's just playing. He's engaged on both ends, locked into game plans, and adjusting when things shift. That kind of composure is contagious. The team feeds off it. Historically, this is the kind of stretch the Knicks haven't gotten from their bigs in a long time. Towns has been a huge part of why they've gone up 3-1 in this series. His ability to provide efficient scoring, real defense, and steady play has allowed the Knicks to go toe-to-toe with one of the league's most well-balanced teams and come out ahead. He might not be leading the highlight reels, but he's leading in impact. When Brunson gets doubled, Towns is the release valve. When the Celtics try to run a mismatch, he's holding his own. When the game tightens up, he's making plays that extend possessions or snuff out Boston's momentum. That's how you win playoff basketball. And now, the Knicks are 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. Towns hasn't just been along for the ride. He's been driving part of the way, quietly, efficiently, and with the kind of presence that anchors a team. Not flashy, just effective. That's the difference. That's Karl-Anthony Towns in this series. Overall, though, the Knicks are doing the impossible, and it doesn't feel like some fluke run. It feels earned. Earned through physicality, through endurance, through relentless execution. They're pushing past their limits and dragging one of the league's top teams down with them. What they've shown in this series goes beyond talent or even preparation. It's mental toughness. It's awareness. It's having players who not only understand the moment, but rise with it. Every time it's gotten tight, they've responded with clarity, not chaos. Every time Boston has thrown a punch, New York has fired back with something smarter, sharper, and harder to counter. This isn't just a team getting hot. This is a team understanding how to win. There's nothing flashy about the way they've done it. It's been methodical. They've controlled tempo, controlled matchups, and made every quarter a grind for the opponent. And while the big performances shine, because they should, it's been the little things just as much. The off-ball screens, the second chance rebound, the ball movement, the perimeter rotations, the extra pass instead of the forced one. It's been a textbook display of how to play team basketball in a playoff setting. They're not overwhelming teams with highlight plays or buzzer beaters. They're breaking teams down piece by piece. They're making the most skilled, most experienced opponents look hesitant. And that's what's wild, because Boston doesn't get rattled often. But the Knicks have had them stumbling through fourth quarters like they forgot what worked. That doesn't happen unless the defense is locked in, the communication is constant, and everyone is on the same page. It's been ugly at times, sure, but it's been effective. And in the playoffs, effective wins games. And what makes this story even better, nobody expected it. Nobody expected New York to be the team with the sharper adjustments, the better response to pressure, the cleaner execution down the stretch, and yet they've delivered in every one of those areas. One more win, and it all turns into something even bigger. Not just a series upset, but a statement that this team, this version of the Knicks, is not here for a good time. They're here to take what nobody thought was available to them. And if they keep playing like this, nobody's going to stop them. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this playoffs. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.